Yes, welcome. Welcome to solving three-step equations. You've made the right decision. You've chosen to watch this video. So it's following on from the one-steppers and the two-steppers, really. So if you haven't watched those, make sure you watch them. If you need to, that is, you don't have to. The aim is to get the letters on one side by adding or subtracting. Add or subtract the number terms, divide to get the value of the letter. That is if you were doing a question like this one in number 1. Because these are what we refer to as equations with unknowns on both sides, or a certain amount of unknowns on both sides. If you're doing a question that's like in question 2, you will need to multiply by the number on the bottom of the fraction, all the terms through by that number, add or subtract, and then divide. But it's very important that you always do the same thing to both sides, no matter what type of question you're doing when you're solving equations. So let's look at this first one in question number 1. Right, so what we've got is 4x plus 4 equals 2x plus 40. Now, the aim is to get all the x's on one side, so that would be the first thing that I would do. What side's got the least amount of x's? Well, it's the right-hand side, and I'm going to take those 2x's away from that side. I'm going to do that to the other side as well, because that's the golden rule. That's the thing you always do, same thing to both sides. So I'm going to take away 2x's here. I'm not going to write it down because I'm going to run out of space if I do. So I'm taking away 2x's from 4x's. That leaves me with 2x's. Plus the 4, still there, equals, now that 2x's is gone because I took it away from that side, and all I've got left is the 40. You don't need to put the plus in front of it. Okay, now it's just a simple two-stepper, just like in the last video. All right, so I'm going to take away the 4 from both sides. That would equal 36 there, and 2x left on that side, and then I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. It leaves me with x equals 18. All right, now if you substitute your value back in to this side here, you would get the same thing as if you substitute your value back in to this side here. They would equal each other. That's why they are equal to one another. All right, one expression is equal to the other, and there you go, x equals 18. Right, let me get rid of that, and I would like to show you how to do the next question. Right, because it's pretty similar, but a little bit different. You got 3y plus 11 is equal to 5y minus 13. Now don't get confused because it's slightly different. We've got the least amount of y terms on the left-hand side this time, so we're going to take away the 3y from both sides. That leaves me with a positive 11 over here, which we don't need to write positive in front of, we just write 11. Okay, and that leaves me with a 2y over here, and then the minus 13. Now we're going to get rid of the minus 13 by adding 13 to both sides. That leaves us with 24, and that leaves us with the 2y bit on its own there, and then we're going to divide by the number in front of the letter. All right, so that's going to give us 12 equals 1y. All right, now we could write that as y equals 12. It doesn't matter what side this is on and this is on, as long as you've got the right numbers. It doesn't matter at all. Then we can write it this way around, the standard way. Now I've gone through that relatively quickly, but if you do need to, you can watch me do it a little bit slower on the the one-steppers and the two-steppers, all right, in previous videos. Now this is sort of grade 3 maths. However, it does get more complicated as it goes through, and I think it probably could be considered even to be grade 4, maybe even a grade 5 type question, depending upon the context of it. So the third one, we're still in the world of grade 3 here though. We got 3z, and we got minus 17, and that equals 24 and minus 7z. Okay, so that's a 7, and there's our z. All right, so it's a little bit awkward, especially because I've got not much space to write things down. But we've got a negative amount of z's over here. So you've got minus 7z's. That's the least amount of z's. And the way you're going to get rid of minus 7z's is if you add 7z's. So adding 7z to this side makes it disappear. Adding 7z's to this side makes it 10z's. Okay, then we've got the minus 17, and that equals 24. Right. So all we've got to do is add the 17 to the 24. It's just a normal two-stepper. So adding 17, you're going to get 41. And then 10z is equal to 41. And then divide by 10. So z equals, and probably the easiest way to do it is put 4.1. So z equals 4.1. So pretty awkward, right? But there you go. I've just shown you how to do an awkward one like that. And that could come up in your exam. And it'll still be worth the same amount of marks as these two, 3 marks. Right, moving over to question 2. We've got to solve the following equations. We've got 5x plus 10 over 3. That means this whole expression here has been divided by 3 and it equals 15. Let's look at the second part of my method here, multiply by the number on the bottom of the fraction. So I'm going to do that to get rid of it, and I'm not going to write this whole thing out again. I'm just going to show you that this is what it turns into. It turns into 5x plus 10 is equal to, because all of that was divided by 3, if we multiply it all by 3, it just stays as what was on the top of the fraction. 15 multiplies by 3 to give you 45. Alright, so now you've got your two sides down either side here, and it's just a normal two-stepper again. So take away the 10, it gives you 35, 5x equals 35, and then x equals 7. Okay, so there's our final answer there. And you can always check to see if it works. 35 plus 10 is 45, 45 divided by 3 is 15. Alright, pop in that value of x back into the equation just to check to see if it definitely gives you the right answer. Alright, and it does. So I'm going to get rid of that one and show you the other type of question that you might get when you solve equations like this. And this is done the same way. You multiply the number on the bottom, multiplied by the number on the bottom of the fraction, but we've got to do it to each term. And this time we've got to do it to this minus 7 here and this 8 here. All right, so this will turn into 10x, all right, minus 14, because minus 7 multiplied by 2 is minus 14, and that equals 16, because 8 times by 2 is 16. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And again, it's just a normal two-stepper. So you add your 14 to both sides. That's going to give you 30. Alright, and that's 10x equals 30. And then divide by 10. Alright, and x equals 3. So you can do it pretty quickly once you've got around that awkwardness at the beginning. Alright. And then we move over to the last question. Alright, now in 3a, we've got below is a rectangle. Explain why 2x plus 4 equals 5x minus 10. Alright, now the reason that you would put here for A, if I put A down there, the reason is because it's a rectangle and their opposite lengths are the same. Okay, so I'm just going to write down the opposite lengths are the same. That's good enough for the mark on that question. They've put one expression equal to the other. Okay, and that means that this expression is equal to this expression, so it's just another way of writing the same number, basically. Now we've got to find the value of x, and that is just solving this. All right, so solving that is going to give us, I'll write it out here, 2x plus 4 equals 5x minus 10. And again, it's just one of those questions from question number 1 there, so don't be scared of it. You're going to take away the 2x's from both sides. It's going to give you 3x's on this side left minus the 10. And that equals that positive 4. We're then going to add the 10 to both sides. That gives us 14, and that equals 3x there. And then we're just going to divide both sides by 3. So that gives you 14 over 3 is what x equals. Okay, so the value of x is this awkward number, but we can always work it out as a mixed number or as a decimal if we need to. However, I'm just going to leave it as that, x equals 14 over 3. That is acceptable. All right, that is it for that video. Now this is sort of more higher end of foundation sort of thinking. Please practice these skills. I'll put some resources in the description and it'll be linked in. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, keep being lovely to one another on this channel. I'm doing it for the purposes of good and not evil. All right, so please bear that in mind. And yeah, be lovely. Have a nice whatever time of the day it is.